taxes, attacking Joe Biden for racist policies. Voters rejected Harris. They smartly spotted a phony. But not Joe Biden. He's not that smart. Biden calls himself a transition candidate. He is handing over the reins to Kamala while they jointly embrace the radical left. Slow Joe and phony Kamala. Perfect together. Wrong for America.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Team Trump Online. I guess we could call this the Kamala Harris edition. And I'm Tim Murtaugh, Communications Director for the Trump 2020 campaign. And tonight I am joined by Katrina Pearson, Senior Advisor to the campaign, Laura Trump, another Senior Advisor to the campaign, and Mercedes Schlapp, yet another Senior Advisor.
Got them all here.
Women senior advisors, let me tell you.
So thank you all for coming here. You all just got back from the bus tour from Pennsylvania. I know it was fantastic and pulled off the road to come down here and react to the big news today that we finally have a vice presidential selection for Joe Biden. It is Kamala Harris, who until very recently was convinced that Joe Biden was a big racist. And so now she's on his ticket. So either she's phony. That's the only conclusion that you got.
Things have changed.
She thought he was a
Very
racist, was convinced of it. She sold T-shirts to that effect. She made a big show in one of the debates calling him a racist. Now she's on the ticket with him. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it does go to show just how people would, give up all of their integrity just to have a little bit of power. And this is Kamala Harris. I mean, as you mentioned, it wasn't long ago, probably, 6-7 weeks ago, when she accused Joe Biden of being a racist. And yes, she accused him of being a racist because someone who supports policies that means they're segregated by race, by definition, is a racist. So she absolutely did that. And plus, there is a long history of Joe Biden's racism, deep-rooted in policy and what many Black Americans perceive as systemic racism, all came from Joe Biden. And here we are today. She's agreed to be his vice presidential pick. So I, for one, look forward to her defending these policies. I wonder what she feels about, Joe Biden saying that he didn't want his kids growing up in a racial jungle. I mean, these are all things that are extremely relevant today when you see what's happening in some of the streets in our communities. But I think the most important thing here with Kamala Harris is the simple fact that he didn't even remember her being a senator during one of the debates. Remember when he said, I was endorsed by the only Black American on the U.S. Senate, and it wasn't her. So he didn't even remember who she was.
He must have forgotten that, she called him a racist too. So there you go. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think they're going to scrub that video from the debate, Tim? And what do you think, Laura?
We've got it. We have it.
We have it.
Yes.
We have it.
Let's just capture her face whenever that happens. I just think for me, look, it didn't ever matter ultimately who Joe Biden picked, because you can dress up a bologna sandwich as much as you want. At the end of the day, it's still an old, stale, moldy bologna sandwich. And quite frankly, the pandering identity politics that the Democrats will go to no end to do, it's so evident to people. I think it's so obvious to people. The fact that he boxed himself in from day one and said, I'm going to pick a woman. Well, how about picking the best person for the job? From day one, I've never understood this, and women didn't fall for this trick. In 2016, they tried to tell us all in 2016, we should vote for Hillary Clinton because she was a woman. Not going to work, doesn't matter. It's still the same old Joe Biden. I don't think it gets him much, quite frankly.
So, what I love about the president saying that it was his #1 draft pick, that Kamala was his #1 draft pick, okay? By the way, let's get college football back. Tim needs
Sadly,
it.
I don't know if it'll happen.
Yeah, exactly.
More bad news of the Big Ten.
Oh, but Tim, wait a second. You put out this huge memo on polling. Now, what does this say for you, knowing now that the polls have Joe Biden so far ahead? What does Kamala mean for that?
Well, I mean, Kamala, let's see. Let's think about this. Joe Biden is now running for president for the third time. So that means that he failed twice. And now he has picked as his running mate somebody who has already very recently failed in running for the president, running for president. And as the president pointed out today in his remarks during Q&A at his press conference, that she actually did very, very poorly in the presidential primaries on the Democrat side, finishing up at about 2%. So this pick, though, let me bring this up. This pick for Joe Biden, we've been saying it all along, and this proves it, that he is an empty vessel that is being used to fill with the agenda of the extreme left. And here you've got Kamala Harris, who was with Bernie Sanders on socialized medicine, taking away the private health insurance, employer-provided insurance from 180 million Americans, going to just eliminate that. The Green New Deal, killing 10 million jobs, trillions in taxes, new taxes increase right there with Joe Biden, and of course, open borders. And so this means that Joe Biden really knows that he doesn't have the support on the left in the Democrat base. This is sort of a pick of desperation for him.
This is absolutely a Hail Mary. And we were actually talking about this not too long ago, because you're right. If Joe Biden was 10 points ahead, if he had the black vote locked up, this pick makes no sense at all. So we know for a fact this is a Hail Mary from Joe Biden, which is something that the Trump campaign has been saying for quite some time, is that the polls are a lot closer than people think. And this pick in Kamala Harris goes to prove that we were right. And this is a red flag for the Democrat Party.
Can I say something else too? What we all know about Joe Biden is that no one is excited about Joe Biden, right? The enthusiasm for him is like in the gutter. Nobody's that enthusiastic about Kamala Harris either. So what was this pick? Why, at least get somebody that revs up the base and gets people excited. Zero excitement. So it's just, all lackluster. I mean, I feel kind of sorry for them.
I mean, you got to feel if Kamala Harris were some kind of superstar, she would have done better in the Democrat primaries.
You would think, well, this might be
Exactly.
her second run for president.
Yeah, you would
I
think
don't
this
know
is
about
too.
that.
That's
So
an
she-
interesting point.
She might be throwing Biden over the cliff and we don't even know, because it is raw political ambition coming from Harris. And the reality is Kamala is one, as you were saying, she's uninspiring.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to connect to the American people. And especially when you look at her record, which fits perfectly with the far left. I mean, she is a puppet of the far left. Now she's going to be, their spokesperson to push forward for open borders, where she's basically decriminalizing illegal crossings. You're also seeing the fact that, she wants to revisit and abolish ICE, as we've seen, sometimes referring to these law enforcement officials as they're referring to them like they're the KKK. So it is a problematic record that Harris has. It's again showing that he and Biden is very much not running in the center, that his choice is to embrace the far left and push the socialist manifesto that Bernie Sanders and the squad, and now Kamala, support.
Yeah, we've been saying for some time that the left is in control of the agenda, that Biden is a Trojan horse candidate. And remember, Kamala Harris, even in one of the debates, asked if she agreed with Bernie Sanders that terrorists should be able to vote from jail. And she said, yeah, sure, we could have a conversation about that. I mean, it's
Well,
remarkable.
she should know. She put a lot of people in jail.
Then that's one of the other things. This goes to the phoniness of it, is that she's going to have to hide her time as a prosecutor from the anti-police left, just like Joe Biden has had to do with the crime bill, which incarcerated an entire generation of Black Americans. They both have to bow down in the face of the anti-police extremists in their party. They have to run from their own past and be phony. And so, I mean, how is that a way to campaign when you can't be yourself?
Well, this is the problem with identity politics. With Hillary Clinton, Laura says this all the time. They expected women to vote for her because she was a woman. That didn't work. This is the exact same thing, Tim. Joe Biden promised to pick a woman of color as the vice presidential pick, not realizing that this woman of color goes against everything that Black Americans are screaming about today. She participated in the mass incarceration of young Black men. She participated in all of these things that you see Black Lives Matter complaining about. But the thing is, people aren't dumb, and the Democrats have missed it again. They're capitulating to this ideology, and they're taking people out of the equation. And I think this is where they're going to fail when you have somebody like Kamala Harris, like I said, who's done all of these things that Black Americans are complaining about today. She will not be able to hide from that.
No, but Biden is hiding in the basement. So where do we put Kamala?
Maybe she'll go to the basement.
With him?
Yeah.
Maybe she'll be upstairs doing the interview in the living room, and he'll stay downstairs. Yeah, and he could
She'll
zoom in.
lock the door and throw the
So
key
it'll be
away.
like-
That'll
That's
be
what she'll
interesting
do.
to
Studio
see.
A and Studio B.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
interesting.
So,
to do that.
I mean, we've known for a while that Joe Biden, he's even called himself a transitional candidate, where he won't say that he would run for a second term if he's elected to a first term. So when he picks his running mate, this should be seen as a consequential pick. Most times the VP in the race, it's still the person who's at the top of the ticket who's really the big draw. But in this case, this should be seen as very consequential, because he's essentially entered into a political living will now, because he's going to made it clear that he intends really to turn the reins over fairly quickly. So what does that say about Biden's leadership, that the number two really threatens to lead the ticket, really.
What is so crazy is the fact you also have the media trying to sell this narrative that it's this historic pick, that it's going to matter. As we know, vice presidential picks for the most part don't matter.
Right.
You got to look at who is the one at the top of the ticket. And the reality is, what you're finding is that Joe Biden is not, he's coming from such a weakened position. And then you have this woman that they're all going to claim is this very strong, very opinionated woman that has clashed multiple times with Joe Biden and his record. So it's going to be interesting where we're going to find them, having this now love fest between Joe and Kamala. I don't see how they're going to be able to reconcile their differences.
I think you're right. I think it further proves what a weak candidate he is. And quite frankly, you're asking about his leadership. Well, there really is no leadership there. I mean, we have seen how far left he's been driven by the radical socialists in the Democrat Party. I mean, he is fully aligned with them now. And now he has Kamala Harris right there beside him. I mean, they're just one and the same, and they're all going farther and farther to the left. It actually makes it even clearer as to why we have to pick President Donald Trump and Mike Pence on November 3rd, because these people will do anything that the far left in the party says. I mean, we've seen Kamala Harris is willing to bend and move and do anything she can to get in there and get her position and get some power. So, I mean, it's really scary. You contrast that with President Trump, who is probably the most transparent president in history. You always know what this man is thinking, like it or not. And, what is on the line right now, I think has never been clearer now with this pick.
But I will say, as a Black woman, this is kind of poetic justice. I mean, if you think about half of a century of racist policies, suddenly now a Black woman is eclipsing him in his political career. So I'll leave you with that.
And I think we might be seeing some of the videotape from the Democrat debates where she called him a racist, and she called him on his opposition to the integration of schools through busing. And I think we might see some.
But now she's kissing his ring to say, please, yes, make me the vice president.
Maybe we should sell the T-shirts now.
That's a good idea.
I wonder what Kamala is going to say about the Black community not being diverse. What's her answer to that question?
I'm looking forward to it,
Yeah,
actually.
let's see if even the fake media asks that question.
I bet they're going to have her doing the interviews and Joe just coddled in the basement. Even more now. I think that's what
Which
we're going to see
means
happen.
I can't wait for Vice President Pence to take on that issue with her.
That would be amazing.
Yes, that will also be a great show. The debates are going to be a lot of fun.
Can we have a fourth debate? Come on, Tim. Bring it on.
We should bring it. And if not a fourth debate, move the last one up and have that.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah,
Let's make that
absolutely.
happen.
Right. So I want to thank you all for being here so quickly. I really appreciate it. Mercedes Schlapp, Senior Advisor. Laura Trump, of course, Senior Advisor to the campaign. And Katrina Pearson, again, another Senior Advisor. So
We're all here.
I'm Tim Murtaugh with the campaign. We appreciate you watching. And stay tuned to Team Trump Online as we continue to bring you everything that is involved with the 2020 campaign. Thanks for watching.